First things first, did the Niners make the right selection at 3, taking Trey Lance? The new talk of the town in the Windy City, can Justin Fields win Rookie of the Year this season? And will Alabama product Mac Jones end up being the Patriots'
Week
1 starter?
Look at that
we say good Friday morning, everyone.
What a
Welcome
star.
to First Things First. Oh, I'm in a good mood today. Jenna Wolfe, Nick Wright, Brandon Marshall, and our resident Patriots fan, Kevin Wilds. Wilds, are you more happy, are you less happy, or are you as happy with where the Patriots are now going after last night?
Oh, I could not be happier. A star is born, Jenna, and I'm Bradley Cooper, and Mac Jones is playing the role of Lady Gaga.
I thought you wanted Jimmy G.
Wow. I want everybody, buddy.
That was a turn. That was a turn I didn't expect that to take. We're going to get to everything draft-related, but we have to start with the bombshell out of Green Bay. Just hours before the draft took place, Aaron Rodgers reportedly wants out. So upset with the Green Bay Packers that he wants to be traded before the season, seemingly fed up with the lack of commitment from the organization. We've been talking about it for months. The cup had runneth over. Here's General Manager Brian Gutekunst with his thoughts on the whole situation. Take a listen.
He's our quarterback. He's our leader. We've been working through this for, a little while now. And, I just think it may take some time, but, he's the guy that kind of makes this thing go. So he gives us the best chance to win, and we're going to work towards that end.
Brian, do you think Aaron's ever going to play again for you guys?
I do think he'll play for us again. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to work towards that. And we've been working towards that on a number of different fronts. The value that he has to our football team is really immeasurable. You know what I mean? He brings so much to the table, not only as a player, but a leader. So important to his teammates, to his coaches. So, that's the goal.
Brian, I asked you in February if there was any scenario that you could see trading Aaron, and you said absolutely not at that time. Has that changed? Is there any scenario that you can see trading Aaron Rodgers this offseason?
No, Ryan, I appreciate the question, but no, we're not going to trade Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know, maybe drafting Jordan Love, not the best idea. Maybe in hindsight, we'll take that one back. Hey, Brandon, this feels like it's going to get messy. Maybe even more messy than what happened in Seattle this offseason. Are you surprised that this situation has come to this morning?
I'm not, Jenna, but Mr. Brian, Mr. General Manager, it's not that hard. Just give the man what he wants. Now, I know Aaron Rodgers is smart. I know he's not going to ask for everything and completely deplete the team and leave the Packers in a terrible situation where they can't compete. So it's not that hard. Give him exactly what he wants. I said this before last season. The Green Bay Packers have wasted Aaron Rodgers' career. How do you have a guy like this? We're talking about a guy could have potentially went down as the greatest quarterback ever before Patrick Mahomes came along, and you get one Super Bowl out of him. You continue to just get it wrong. It's time for him to move on. You had 16 great years from Aaron Rodgers. You got the one Super Bowl. You could have had more. But, hey, that's a big deal. It's time to move on. It's okay to move on when it's not working out. We have to learn to let it go, Nick. Aaron Rodgers will be in a different uniform next year. It's done. It's over. The writing's been on the wall.
Wow.
Well, I'm shocked that the majority of those questions at Brian Gutekunst's press conference weren't about the overwhelmingly exciting pick of Eric Stokes, the cornerback out of Alabama. I'm sure that's what he showed up to talk about. It's like, oh, you guys want to talk about Rodgers? Okay, let's do it. So here's the deal. This has been of the Packers' own doing, and it's been building for a half-decade now. 5 years ago, Aaron Rodgers was like, hey, Jordy Nelson, I like playing with him. Can we keep him? No, you can't. Oh, okay. My quarterback's coach, Alex Van Pelt, I think's his name. I like him. I'm the quarterback. Let's keep him. No, you can't. Oh, okay, you're going to hire a new GM? I actually don't endorse Brian Gutekunst. Oh, that's who you hired. Oh, okay, cool. First-round picks. Can we use one on an offensive player? It's like, well, actually, we can, but it'll be a quarterback, the offensive player. Look at that. Last decade, a first pick in the draft. 2 Ds, a corner, a safety, a D tackle, a couple more corners, linebacker, a quarterback to replace Rodgers, another corner. That's fun. And ultimately, though, the straw that broke Aaron Rodgers' back, which has made Aaron Rodgers more committed to jeopardy than to the Packers this offseason, is Jordan Love. And this was a marriage that was on the rocks, and then somebody cheated. And they went to counseling for a year, and it's a year later, and it's like, you know what? Not over it. Not going to get over it. Can't get over it. And the Packers had an opportunity. They could have traded Jordan Love yesterday. They could trade Jordan Love today, but they ain't going to do that because they idiotically believe that they have some relevance outside of Rodgers. And I'm sorry to tell them, Bart Starr and Brett Favre are not walking through that door.
Not coming back.
And so I think that this is all of their own doing. Is Aaron Rodgers a little needy wild? Sure. So he got a little diva to him? Yeah. Is he, can he be a pain in the butt? No. Yeah, probably. But, you know, when you're one of the 10 greatest people in the history of the world to do what you do, you get to do that. Brian Gutekunst is on the fringe of top 10 NFL GMs named Brian in league history, so he should fall back a bit and give Rodgers what he wants. But that's not what they're going to do. So I don't think this gets fixed, Wilds. I just think it gets uglier and uglier.
Oh, it's over.
Okay. Then why does he want an extension? If this is so bad, and Brandon said, you wasted his career. Oh, you drafted Jordan Love. You didn't support me, even though we were a few plays away from going to the Super Bowl. I'm upset. What is it? A lot of guys' futures are uncertain, myself included. Oh, my gosh. And I go on to Pat McAfee. Well, I don't think there's any reason I wouldn't be back. Oh, okay. And then back, oh, my future's really, it's out of my control. That's why I use words and a phrase like a beautiful mystery. Oh, my goodness. Nick, why does he want to come back then? If the Packers are so poorly run, if they're not supporting him, why does he want to come back? Why is his agent flying out to Green Bay to get a contract extension?
No, well,
because I think it's all posturing. This is all posturing, and I know I don't want to play my role. I don't work for Aaron Rodgers, so the idea that I have to like carry the water for Aaron Rodgers because he decides to light another fire before the draft, so Gutekunst has to like not talk about the draft and have leverage. It's all a leverage play. And if he was serious about it, you know what he could do? He could call up Nick Wright. Give Nick Wright the scoop. Say, I want to be traded, point blank. But it hasn't happened because it all feels like posturing.
Well, here's the thing. The contract extension, sure, there's the money component, but it's the commitment component. When you move up to draft my replacement, I am going to believe you want to replace me until either you move off of that person or you adjust my contract as such, it will be impossible to move off of me. This is, the Packers did this to themselves. And again, I'm flabbergasted, Brandon, that they seem to be doing this through half measures. They want Aaron Rodgers, the player, without having to deal with Aaron Rodgers, the person. Aaron Rodgers, the person, is wounded and angry, but they want the MVP on the field. Well, he's letting them know that ain't how this works. And so yesterday I thought they could have made a trade, but now the Bears got a quarterback, the Patriots got a quarterback, the Niners got a quarterback, and so now I feel like the trade's harder to make, and I think they have really boxed themselves in here.
Denver.
Saints ain't got the money.
You got a couple teams still out there.
Denver, maybe.
You got Vegas out there.
Sure.
Look, here's the deal, man. It comes down to value, right? We talked about it earlier. It comes to a point where it's like, you know what? You just don't value me. You know, Aaron Rodgers went to him and said, I want a new deal. The only thing you keep hearing, the only thing we're hearing out of Green Bay is this. Well, we want to live in this year-to-year space with Aaron Rodgers. We want our cake and eat it too. It can't happen. It won't happen. You had the opportunity to give him what he wanted. You chose, again, to show him that you don't value him. You don't value the production. You don't value the MVP, Jenna. And this relationship is over.
Took them a little bit for granted. We have so much more to talk about with this, but we do have to get to the other big story last night, and that was the 2021 NFL Draft. What was the biggest surprise of the night? Guys give their picks next. First things first. got to draw a blank right now. So much to get to. Here we go. Brandon, your Jets took Zach Wilson with the number 2 pick last night, despite your banging the drum for 97 straight weeks. You've been trying to convince yourself for weeks, though, that this was the right choice. But, Brandon, the best pick of the first round was blank.
Well, look, there was a lot of action last night in the first round. You know, I mean, starting with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, that was a great deal. And then you go to the Jets. That was awesome. Then you get the Chicago Bears. And you go deeper in the draft, and you got Eric Stokes, the big corner out of Georgia. He's going to be phenomenal. He goes to the Packers. I know we're going to be talking about that pick for a long time because it's another pick that the Packers chose to use on the defensive side. But this kid can ball. But the answer is Trey Lance. Trey Lance, man, there's just something about this kid. You know, when you see it, you just see it. And when you look in his eyes and when you see this kid, he has it. You know, obviously when you turn on the film, you can see it. You can see the talent. You hear about people raving about his processes and his recall and how he does on the board. But this dude has swagger. This dude with Coach Kyle Shanahan is going to have a phenomenal start to his career, and I'm excited to watch. I think in a couple years, we're going to be looking back saying, you know what? This was the steal of the draft potentially.
So I love the Trey Lance pick, but this has been an odd lead up to the draft, and now we're at the morning after, because you have a superstar, generational prospect who I believe is a future Hall of Famer, and we haven't talked about him at all. So you know the best pick of the first round was Trevor Lawrence. The guy would have been a top 5 pick if he went high school to pro. And because he was such a no-brainer pick, we've spent no time on him. Nothing. The biggest mention of him last night was, as Wilds mentioned earlier, that his dog was cute and excited. Trevor Lawrence was the best pick of the first round because Trevor Lawrence is going to instantly make the Jacksonville Jaguars something they have only been a couple times in their franchise history, which is relevant. So my answer is Trevor Lawrence.
Okay, talk about instantly changing an offense. My answer is Rashad Bateman. Go Big Ten. Minnesota Gopher is going to Baltimore. So, Brandon, you know what that means? Lamar's got some weapons. Got Sammy Watkins, got Hollywood Brown, now got Rashad Bateman. Maybe Baltimore's offense is finally moving around. If you get Lamar a big contract, he'll have an opportunity to throw the ball around the field, Jenna.
Love it.
Like that.
They don't get rid of him, a la college style. Let's talk Devontae Smith. Many believe he could end up as the best receiver in the draft, but he fell all the way to the Eagles at number 10 behind both Jamar Chase and his Alabama teammate Jalen Waddle. Brandon, though, the biggest surprise of the first round was blank.
It was the Pats standing pat. I mean, all this talk about them moving up to 10, all the talk about them moving up to 4 potentially. Oh, look at that walk-in. I love that walk-in. Can we run that back, please? I know this is not what I'm supposed to be talking about, but you got to see this guy. This guy's ready to go. But it's the Pats standing pat. Like, think about this. They were in love with this guy. Nick Saban, Bill Belichick, best friends. You ain't think Nick and Bill was talking? Hey, man, really, give me the scoop on this guy. Is he the guy? Can he get it done? They sit at 15 and they get their guy. Look at that walk. Look at that walk. That's so bad. We got to work on that Josh McDaniels. But the answer, Nick, is the Pat standing pat. I absolutely love Bill Belichick. He doesn't panic. He's not like everyone else. Let's give up all of this compensation to go get a guy. No, they waited, and he fell right in their arms. So that's the answer. Man, that walk. We got to work on that, though. Jeez.
I'm going with the guy that I did not think was going to be there at 7. Penei Sewell falling to 7, to me, is the biggest surprise.
Yeah.
I understand the Bengals desperately wanted to reunite Burrow and Jamar Chase, but he's not going to be able to throw the ball to Jamar Chase if he's laying flat on his back. And he got his knee blown out last year because he couldn't block anybody. But they went for the flashy, fun player. That sounds disrespectful. I think Chase is going to be a star. But they went for something that, to me, is more of a luxury than a necessity. And you know what that allowed? That allowed for the greatest level of excitement ever surrounding drafting an offensive lineman when Dan Campbell and the eating kneecap Detroit Lions had an absolute rave. I think the first post-pandemic rave happened in the Lions draft room last night when they drafted Sewell. They could not believe he fell to them. It's perfect for what they're trying to do. I'm shocked he was there. I think it's an excellent pick by the Lions.
All right, my answer is from a report from Susie Colbert on ESPN's draft show. She said that she talked to Urban Meyer and said it's not a guarantee that Trevor Lawrence starts week 1. And I thought we all assumed that he was going to go the Joe Burrow route. He was been ready to start in the NFL for maybe even last year. But the interesting note is this. Urban Meyer had Alex Smith at Utah, and Alex Smith was thrown to the Lions week 1, and they always kept in contact. And Urban saw how that sort of hindered his development. So I thought the biggest surprise, Jenna, was that Trevor Lawrence is not a guarantee to start week 1.
I honestly didn't even think the Jaguars had another quarterback on the roster.
Yeah, I can report. Hold on. I'm reporting Trevor Lawrence starting week 1. I'm reporting that.
Okay.
Sorry, but it's
surprising.
Does anyone even know who the backup is? Let's talk some Bears now. They moved up 9 spots to 11. They grabbed Ohio State quarterback Justin Fields in the hopes that he's the franchise guy they've been trying to find for about 270 years, give or take. Brandon, the Bears trading up to draft Fields was blank.
Dream scenario. I mean, there's jobs on the line. Everyone's underperformed in Chicago for a very long time. Ryan Pace hasn't gotten the job done. You know, they tried to give up everything. They tried to give up the damn bean on Michigan Avenue to the Seattle Seahawks to get Russell Wilson, and they still couldn't get it done. They tried to give up real estate. They tried to give up Lakeshore Drive, and they couldn't get it done. And then they go get Andy Dalton to fill in the gap. But then you have Justin Fields sliding. Now, a lot of things we didn't talk about. We didn't talk about, you know, his medical condition. We didn't talk about, you know, some of the things that was coming out where, you know, he didn't process and his recall wasn't great for a couple teams. But now you got a guy who slid, but who can get it done. He is a smart guy. This dude can make all the throws. He's a leader, and he's ready for that city. So, you know, this is a dream scenario for a team to try to give up everything to Seattle to get a quarterback, and it didn't happen. So good job, Chicago Bears, for being lucky.
I agree with all of what Brandon is saying. And by the way, the bean would have looked great right alongside the Space Needle. I'm surprised Chicago or Seattle didn't take that deal. Before I give my answer, though, I've got it. Jenna, you said it's been 270 years since the Bears had a quarterback. Mike Greenberg last night, all night, was saying it's been 100 years since they've had a quarterback. The Sid Luckman erasure must end. It's only been 70 years, guys. It's just 70 years since the Bears have had a quarterback with Jay Cutler mixed in. Sorry, Brandon. But my answer is the Bears trading up draft Justin Fields was a life raft because Ryan Pace has been out there. Mike Glennon, oh no, I'm drowning. Mitch Trubisky, oh my God, I just grabbed an anchor. Andy Dalton, oh sweet Jesus, what have I done? And now he's got a life raft. They just have to be mediocre, and he gets more time. So I think it's great for Chicago. I hope. I don't know if it's great for Justin Fields or not, but Allen Robinson's very good. But for Ryan Pace, a lot of GMs get one shot at the quarterback. Ryan Pace is on his 4th or 5th. I think he finally got it right. So it's a life raft for him, Wild.
You forgot about him.
Oh, Foles. I forgot about Foles.
My answer is you're right. Yeah, Foles good. Universal approval. One of my favorite parts about sports is the video I'm about to show you, where a group of people finds out something at the same time. It's always wonderful. Take a listen. Oh, you know what?
Just describe
we're going to have it later on. Great tease from me, Kevin Wild. Stay tuned, everybody.
Well, like your favorite thing is about to find out. The worst has to be when you're left hanging. All right, we will get to that. We've been talking for weeks about what the 49ers were going to do with that 3rd pick. They ended up going with Trey Lance. Did they get it right? Take a listen to Trey getting the call.
Hey, Trey Lance.
What's going on?
You ready to do this thing, man? Yes, sir.
Welcome to the 49ers, buddy.
Thank you.
So happy to add you to our family, buddy. I'm thrilled. Congratulations, man. I'm going to pass you over to Coach Shanahan, okay?
Awesome. Thank you.
What's up, man?
What's going on, Coach?
Nothing doing. You excited?
Yeah, I'm so excited, Coach.
All right. You got a hunch for a while?
Man, I didn't know, Coach. You wouldn't tell me nothing.
Hey, we didn't tell anybody, man.
I know.
I thought you could tell, though, the way I thought you got to buy it, but hey, dude.
I did, but I didn't. I didn't know, Coach.
Hey, man, it was all worth it, man. Dude, we're so pumped. So pumped, man. We'll get you out here tomorrow. Enjoy this night. Have fun with your family, man. You earned it.
Back here, we're talking the 49ers now. Easily the biggest mystery going into the draft. Remember, they moved up from 12 to 3. They trekked through all the buzz around Mac Jones. And then they end up selecting North Dakota State quarterback Trey Lance. All right, Nick, did the 49ers get this right?
I think they did. And I'm angry at myself for not sticking with the courage of my convictions from a month ago when I refused to buy into any of the Mac Jones hype. Brandon got this right yesterday. I wavered at the last second. But I think the Niners got this exactly right. Because, as we discussed yesterday, they can now follow what was a wildly successful model in Kansas City from just a few years ago, which is you have stable, legitimate, starting NFL quarterback on a reasonable contract with multiple years left on it. And you are drafting a raw, super high ceiling first round pick that you traded up to get, who theoretically could play his rookie season, but absolutely does not have to. And he can learn the system. He can, absorb the Kyle Shanahan offense and information, and he can sit under a professional in Jimmy Garoppolo, who, if Jimmy G plays poorly, or more likely, if he gets hurt, he can step in. And if everything goes well for the Niners and Jimmy G plays all year like Alex Smith did for the Chiefs, and even if they make the playoffs like Alex Smith did with the Chiefs, you then trade Jimmy Garoppolo in the offseason and Trey Lance takes over. So you cannot justify trading 3 first-round picks to draft a low-ceiling quarterback because you are frustrated with your low-ceiling quarterback. That's why the Mac Jones thing would have been, to me, such a wild miss, even if Mac Jones ends up being good. This made a ton of sense. I think they got it absolutely right. And I think they are absolutely, Brandon, not obligated to trade Jimmy G. And I think you wait and see how Trey Lance looks in the offseason and preseason and into the year. And I think they're comfortable trading Jimmy G 11 months from now before next year's draft.
Yeah, I mean, Trey Lance and Justin Fields are going to be tied together for the remainder of their careers in the National Football League. That's what it came down to, is these two guys. Mac Jones, he's going to have a good career. He landed in a good spot. I'm excited to watch what he does in the next couple years. But at the end of the day, it came down to these guys. They fit the Shanahan scheme and offense perfectly. And what ended up happening was, you see the film, you go out to the pro day, you see the workouts, and both of them pop. But there's some real concerns when it comes to Justin Fields' recall. And that's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm finding out, digging a little deeper yesterday. Why is this guy sliding? Why would the 49ers pass up on him? Why would the New York Jets pass up on him? Because in the National Football League, you got guys out there, man, that's throwing so much at you. These defenses are complex, they're sophisticated, and you have to be able to see it right away. We're talking about in a split second and make the right decision. You can't go out there and turn the ball over. What do we always say on this show? Ball security is job security, yours and mine. And we talk about the biggest differentiator between wins and losses in the National Football League is protecting the ball. You have to know what you're doing pre-snap. You have to know what you're doing post-snap once you're in your drop. And when you look at Justin Fields, the recall just wasn't there. So they made the right decision. And like Nick said, Trey Lance probably has the biggest upside. This dude pops. His smile pops. Everything pops, Jenna.
Wells, can I ask you a question? I want to dive a little deeper into Jimmy Garoppolo. Because you were banging the drum for him to come to New England, and now it's looking like they may actually keep him for the year, a la what Andy Reid did with Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes. What does all this mean now for Jimmy G?
Well, Jenna, it's time for me to bid adieu to Jimmy G once again. It's better to have loved and lost
There it is.
to never love at all. And I was in love with Jimmy G, Nicholas. And I thought he was coming back.
Right.
But never more. So now I think he has an opportunity to play well. And I think it can follow the Alex Smith narrative. The question is, what's the market for Jimmy G? And can he somehow salvage his reputation, even though he went 24-9 in his tenure with the 49ers? And the most interesting thing, I think, is this, Nick. If I was Jimmy G. Jimmy G got banged the most for throwing 5 passes and winning a playoff game. Through 5. Oh, they won the play. Because you know why? He did what he was told. He followed Kyle Shanahan's game plan. Now I wonder that he's basically playing for his job, playing for his reputation, playing for his next job. If Kyle Shanahan comes to him and says, you know what? We're going to run that same game plan. We're going to have you throw 5 passes. If I'm Jimmy G, I'd be like, nah, dude, I know we won that game, but I got killed for it. And, like, you guys are trying to trade me.
Right.
So I'm not into that. So I could see that being a point of friction as Jimmy G not only plays for the 49ers this year, but he's also playing for himself.
All right, then they'll bench him. Like, at some point we get to a bridge too far. I am all for Russell Wilson
Nick's so
saying,
fired
let's hear me out on this. No, this at some point, like, you are who you are. If Russell Wilson wants to have some say in free agency in the draft, he has earned it. If Aaron Rodgers wants them to help him out or keep his damn quarterback's coach or not draft his replacement, he has earned it. Jimmy Garoppolo played 7 quarters of NFL football, got hurt, and got $100 million from San Francisco. The idea, and then in San Francisco, he has played decent and been hurt a bunch. The idea that Jimmy Garoppolo could be out here being like, I'm going to go rogue because you're going to hurt my marketability or my trade value, zip it. No, his job this year is to mentor Trey Lance and to stay healthy. If he stays healthy, there will be a legitimate market for him in the trade market, and whoever trades for him will probably give him a short-term extension. But there is the idea that he has some leverage here is foolish. And I would add, Brandon, I also don't think the Niners have much leverage as far as a trade because the Bears got their quarterback, the Patriots got their quarterback. Like most of the teams have settled on their quarterbacks. So I think that to recoup his trade value, he needs to play some of this season and not get hurt. And then maybe it is a late first or certainly a good second-round pick next year.
Right. Well, look, I believe Kyle Shanahan when he says, like, he wants both of these guys on their roster next year. Kyle Shanahan is cut from an old school cloth. His dad, he grew up seeing it, being in the locker room, that Denver Broncos organization, even going back to San Francisco, the San Francisco days before they got there. So he is a guy that understands not everyone can come and be thrown in the fire. Trey Lance, 17 starts. He needs some time. But when they're ready, they won't be afraid to pull the trigger. Jimmy Garoppolo, here's the deal with Jimmy Garoppolo. We keep asking, like, it's a big mystery around Jimmy Garoppolo. It's like, how do you go from this well-sought-after commodity to now, you know, everybody is saying, you know, they want to trade you or they may want to trade for you. Like, what's going on in San Francisco? I keep saying it. Process. You need 2 things as a quarterback. You need to be able to have the arm talent, obviously, but you also got to have it up here. What is your mindset? Go back to the game. What was in the playoffs? He's like, I can't see it. You know, he's mic'd up. The camera's on him. He's like, I can't see it. I don't know what's going on. And I think that's what's happening in San Francisco when you turn on the film. He is a slow blinker at times because he throws a beautiful ball.
Gosh.
His mechanics are great. But it's the truth, Wilds. Turn on the film, and I'm giving you the real. Because nobody's coming out and saying
that's
it.
right.
This is the biggest mystery in the NFL. So if you turn on the film, you're seeing him not go through the progressions quickly enough. And Kyle Shanahan, yes, he is the guy that's playing Madden, but he needs a quarterback that can also go out there because you got check with me's. He's giving you 2 plays, and then you got to also read the coverage, and you got to pick it up fast. And Jimmy G hasn't been able to do that. Go ahead.
And if he's playing Madden, he can't have the controller lagging, and that happened with Jimmy G. And Wilds always points out the one problem for Jimmy G was the overthrow in the Super Bowl. In the first quarter, he threw a terrible interception in that Super Bowl because he had a bad read. So, like, it wasn't just the one play. It was Shanahan's been with him for 4 years and said, not good enough, Jenna.
Yep.
Yeah, but you got to argue, Bill Belichick saw something in him. Bill Belichick wanted to keep him. There was a part of Belichick that thought maybe he was the heir apparent to Tom Brady.
And then
I understand.
He played 2 games.
But he had him in house. He had him in house. He saw him
played
other
2
than
games.
just 2 years.
Once you get out there, it's
we got to take a turn.
Saw something in Stidham.
Talk some NBA medals. I'm going to blink fast because we're a little late here. Zion went for 27 last night. Pelicans got to win over the Thunder. But, Nick, everybody gets a win over the Thunder. Zion just missing out on a medal. Nick, who just made your medal stand, buddy?
You're right. Everyone gets a win over the Thunder except for the Celtics, who lost to him 3 days ago. All right, bronze medal. Tim Hardaway Jr. Hey, no Luka. Kristaps gets hurt. Tim Hardaway Jr. says, we're trying to catch the Lakers. I got you, Dallas. 42 points. No one watched this game but me. Next game, silver medal. KD. A lot of people probably watch this game switching back and forth at the draft. Kyrie, a late scratch. KD says, how about I drop a 40-piece? 42 and 10. Oh, Nick, you're such a hater. 40 and 10's not good enough for a silver or for a gold. Nope. Not when a 20-year-old goes 50 and 10. No James Harden, no problem. Fresh off a trip to a gentleman's club, Kevin Porter Jr. drops 50 and 11. Good God, that is James Harden's music. There it is. Kevin Porter Jr. gets the Rockets a win over the Bucks. 50 and 11 at 20 years old. Great job by him.
Very nicely done. All right, Wilds, who just missed the cut last night?
Oh, the Warriors lost again, but Draymond had a wonderful pass. Look at this. Looking like Mac Jones out there throwing his receiver open. The once great Warriors dynasty. After the game, Steve Kerr is talking about boxing out and rebounding. That's where we're at in the Bay Area. Hey, guys, we need to box out like you're 9 years old talking basketball. But you know what? This pass was excellent. Go Warriors.
It's a terrible loss.
Look at that walk. Look at the walk.
Back here talking about the New England Patriots.
Farther.
I know. He's got to work on the wall. Work on the strut. Patriots hoping they got their next guy in Mac Jones, but will he start under center week 1? We'll have that for you next. First things first. A little bottle. Back here, first things first. So the Patriots secured their future last night. Brandon can't get over the way Mac walked out on stage. At least that's what they're hoping for. They grabbed Bama quarterback Mac Jones after he slid right into their laps at 15. Look, the relationship between Bill Belichick and Nick Saban, no doubt, in play with this pick. We got NFL.com analyst Bucky Brooks here to break everything down. Bucky, how should the rest of the NFL feel about the Patriots drafting Mac Jones?
Well, I definitely don't think they should be fearful about Mac Jones going to New England, because the difference is he won't have the supporting cast that he had at Alabama. I think of all the places, Mac Jones would have benefited the most going to San Francisco. And going to New England, look, man, when he walks in, there are going to be people that are going to have a tough time taking him serious when he's standing beside Cam Newton, because Cam Newton is an Adonis, a superstar, superhero in terms of stature and talent. When Mac Jones goes out there, it is going to look differently, because the ball isn't going to come off his hand like a high-level quarterback. He doesn't have the biggest arm. He obviously doesn't have necessarily the big athletic body. And so it's going to take him time to earn the respect of the locker room, because they're not just going to give it to him. And then when it comes to the Patriots, and I understand this move because systematically Mac Jones fits how they typically want to play. From an IQ standpoint, he has the ability to do all the stuff that they want to do at the line of scrimmage. But at the end of the day, they're going to need to upgrade the talent around him for him to thrive. And we'll see if the Patriots can do that, because when we really think about the era that we saw with Tom Brady, there was only like a 4 or 5 year window where they had Randy Moss, Wes Welker, and those guys where they were able to get it done. Also the Rob Gronkowski, late Aaron Hernandez era. But outside of that, Tom Brady did it with a cast of nobodies on the outside. I don't know if Mac Jones can do that. And so they're going to have to get better at drafting skilled players and acquiring skilled players along the way. It's the truth. They haven't drafted any Pro Bowl
I just hate that narrative. I hate that narrative in New England that he didn't have guys. I mean, Randy Moss, Wes Welker, Julian Edelman. I mean, come on. Okay. Because Tom Brady has some guys that can go and play at a high level. But I definitely understand what you're saying there. Look, Jenna, you said it in the open. Bill Belichick, Nick Saban's relationship. You know, they're best friends. You know, and Nick Saban was on the broadcast last night. They interviewed him, and he said, look, you know, this is a great fit for Mac Jones because of what they're trying to do in New England. He's not a guy that's going to get out the pocket and make huge plays. He's a pocket quarterback, and he's a processor. That's who he is. And in New England, you have to have that for what Josh McDaniels does naturally, what he wants to do. Now, he's an offensive coordinator that can adapt. He's very creative. He's smart. He's savvy. The playbook changes from one week to another. But what they want to do is they want to run the same offense that they've been running for 20-something years. It hasn't changed. 11 personnel. You have Army. You have Navy. You have Army Brandon, Army, you know, Eddie Royal. You have to be on your stuff in New England because there's so much they throw at you. In my 13 years in the National Football League, I was in 10 different schemes, Wilds, and the two that was tough for me, and I was a guy that never took notes. I would sit there and I would just pick it up. You know, the recall was right there. There was two offenses that I had to study. I had to go home and I had to open up my notebook and I had to get little things like my mugs and, you know, forks and knives and say, okay, this is the X receiver, this is the Z receiver, and walk it out. That was Coach Mark Trestman's offense in Chicago, was super sophisticated, and that was Josh McDaniels. And the reason why is because most people go out there and say 11 personnel. There's 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and 1 running back. Well, Josh McDaniels has 5 different 11 personnels, and then depending on the play, people are lining up all over the place, and then there's different motions, there's different shifts. So you have a guy like Mac Jones that can come in and play right away if they need him to. Now, Cam Newton is the guy. I think Cam Newton's going to have a good year, and he'll sit for a year, and then he'll come in and take over.
Ooh, I don't know if he's sitting for a year. As much as I love Cam Newton and I love the House of Athlete podcast, Cam Newton only threw for 8 touchdowns last year, and I complained about it. I tried to be an optimist, but I complained about it. And I wanted Jimmy G because I thought, as Brandon said, the Patriots offense is so complex, and we have an urgency to win now with Tom Brady bringing the mighty Buccaneers into Foxborough, that I wanted someone to take over week 1. And I have good news, Nick. I have a petition to convince myself that Mac Jones is that guy for the reasons contained. Henceforth, reason number 1, undefeated champion with 13-0. You know who else was undefeated last time I checked? Let me think. The 2008 Patriots. He is the most accurate and most efficient ever. So I know, like, oh, Zach Wilson this, and Justin Fields, and Trey Lance potential. Oh, we got the most accurate and most efficient quarterback ever? Well, is there a bunch of bums on the all-time list? Maybe it's just a bunch of small school guys who just had a big offense they could throw it around? Nope. The list has all pros on it. You got Kyler Murray on there. You got old Baker Mayfield on there. You got Tua on there. And at the top, Mac Jones. Sorry, better than Joe Burrow. Sorry, Bengals, we want our draft pick back. We weren't taping your practice. Reason number 3, big play threat. We had a bunch of like little dink and dunks last year. Not old Mac Jones. Yeah, granted, he's throwing to the Heisman Trophy winner. But guess what? We loaded up on offense. We'll probably get a wide receiver in the second round. And finally, and Nick, this is the most important part, because if you're going to go to the greatest franchise in the history of all of professional sports, maybe even amateur sports if you count sort of Greco-Roman wrestling in, you know, the 10s, Mac Jones knows that he's going to the greatest franchise ever if we can put up his quote. What did he say? Oh, glad you asked. This is what I wanted all along. Oh, it's like the end of You've Got Mail, Jenna. Mac Jones on joining the Patriots. I can't wait to play for the greatest franchise in NFL history. So, Nicholas, I know you thought I was upset about this, but I am over the moon and overjoyed to have our future franchise in the hands of Mac Jones.
I'm so happy for you, Wilds. And I'm glad that that's how you feel. Bucky said something interesting. He was like, the Patriot players aren't going to be impressed by Mac Jones when he's standing next to Cam Newton. So I'm going to do a little magic trick here. I'm going to take all of Wild's optimism and I'm going to make it disappear. Can we show what someone, like if there's like a shirt skins basketball game, what they might see when standing next to Cam Newton?
That's not right. Come on.
So listen, that doesn't mean he can't. That doesn't mean he can't play. It doesn't mean he can't play. I'm just saying, when Bucky's like standing next to Cam Newton, Cam is wringing out his shirt with sweat, showing his abs, and Mac Jones like, hey guys,
come on down,
how's it going? I always wanted to be here. I want to show another picture.
Yes.
This is not of Mac Jones. And don't show the picture just yet. There was a very interesting during the NFL Network's draft coverage. They were like, hey, the Patriots last 6 years, they've drafted 42 players. One has made the Pro Bowl. It's the punter. And then they cut to the Patriots draft room. And I'm like, this is interesting. And I think we can show you that. Because it's the owner who's not picking players, Belichick, and some guy who I can't identify. Every other draft room we saw, Patriots on the bottom, there's the Jets on the top, the Lions were having a whole party in theirs. And I say that to say this.
Lions.
If you've been going it alone and not succeeding, maybe Belichick should invite a few more people into that room. And maybe someone in that room would have said, Bill, you're probably right that Mac Jones is going to fall to us. But we have the opportunity to move up 5 picks because we're hearing Dallas is open to trading their pick and get Justin Fields. And that's what they should have done. The Patriots should thank the NFL media that boosted Mac Jones' trade value by erroneously reporting he was going 3, because now that they got him at 15, it feels like, oh, they got a steal, when 8 weeks ago he was projected to go in the 30s. And I'm not saying he can't be successful, but Justin Fields fell about as far as he ever was going to, and they could have traded up to get him. And I think that is going to be a mistake. They wouldn't have had to give up an extra first rounder the way Chicago did. Go ahead. I think they could have gone up and gotten him, Brandon.
No, but I'm really curious. I'm really trying to figure out, like, why, though, with this guy. Like, why, aren't people believing this guy? Because all I hear is, well, he doesn't have the arm talent as the other guys. Well, there's plenty of quarterbacks in it. Tom Brady's arm talent isn't where it was, years ago. And I played with many quarterbacks that didn't have the arm talent. Josh McCown came in and had an amazing year, and we were #2 offense that year, in the National Football League. Ryan Fitzpatrick, his greatest year. Now, I'm not comparing him to Ryan Fitzpatrick, but I'm talking about a quarterback who doesn't have the arm talent. Ryan Fitzpatrick can barely complete a 15-yard comeback that year because of what he was dealing with, but he still went out there, had a super efficient year, and led the Jets to 10 wins, and they wanted to bring him back. So we keep talking about this guy and saying, well, let's knock him down. But why? You're talking about his arm talent. Well, there's guys that play at a high level with less arm talent than him. And then also we're talking about the talent around him. Well, hell, look at Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers had a lot of guys around him. Peyton Manning had a lot of guys around him. Down in Atlanta, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley. Like, there's a lot of quarterbacks that have the talent around them.
Yes, that is true, but Alabama just set the record for most offensive players taken in the first round of a draft. So I think there's talent, and then there's the abundance of talent, but I don't hold that against him. And I think this is where I'm at, and I think it's where Bucky's at. And Bucky, tell me if I'm right. It's a historical almost impossibility for 5-star quarterbacks, 5 even good quarterbacks, to come out of one draft. At least one of these guys is not going to work. Probably 2. Maybe, historically speaking, the odds are 3 won't work. But let's say it's only 1. my money would be on it being Mac Jones. Like, to me, it's as simple as that. You're not going to get 5 franchise guys in one draft, and I think the least likely is Mac Jones.
Well, I think the Mac Jones thing is the bigger issue because, like, we naturally compare him to the greatest of all time when we talk about Tom Brady in terms of being a pocket passer. And I think if we really look at the young players that play like Mac Jones, who is a young quarterback that plays like him that's having an abundance of success in the league? I don't know if we can name one because the guys that we talk about being able to do it from the pocket, recently retired Drew Brees, and then Tom Brady. We've seen Jared Goff have success, but Jared Goff was so successful that Sean McVay moved on from him. We've talked about Matt Ryan, but when Matt Ryan is ever successful, he has to have a 5-star supporting cast around him. And so I'm saying there's a path for Mac Jones to have success, but the Patriots are going to have to change the way they do business when it comes to acquiring offensive players. They don't have enough talent on offense for him to be able to be successful because he doesn't have superpowers. He's not an outstanding runner. He doesn't have big arm talent. And in fact, I would say the offense that the Patriots will run with Mac Jones will look more like the offense with Brian Hoyer than the offense that we saw with Tom Brady.
Wow. All right, well, we're going to set the draft aside because we got to talk about the bombshell report that took over draft day yesterday. Has Aaron Rodgers really played his final snap as a Green Bay Packer? Discuss that next. First things first.
13.
It's Friday Night Baseball on FS1 as Salvador Perez and the Royals battle Nelson Cruz and the Twins. The action starts 7:30 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Good stuff, fun Friday night plans right there. Time for stories to start your morning right here, sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve. Just hours before last night's draft, this bombshell out of Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers reportedly wants out. So upset with the Packers that he wants to be traded before playing one more down with them. And obviously the ongoing narrative here, he's fed up with the lack of commitment from the organization. So how has said organization responded? Here's GM Brian Gutekunst with his thoughts on the whole situation.
He's our quarterback. He's our leader. We've been working through this for, a little while now. And, I just think it may take some time, but, he's the guy that kind of makes this thing go. So he gives us the best chance to win, and we're going to work towards that end.
Brian, do you think Aaron's ever going to play again for you guys?
I do think he'll play for us again. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to work towards that. And we've been working towards that on a number of different fronts. The value that he has to our football team is really immeasurable. You know what I mean? He brings so much to the table, not only as a player, but a leader. So important to his teammates, to his coaches. So, that's the goal.
Brian, I asked you in February if there was any scenario that you could see trading Aaron, and you said absolutely not at that time. Has that changed? Is there any scenario that you can see trading Aaron Rodgers this offseason?
No, Ryan, I appreciate the question, but no, we're not going to trade Aaron Rodgers.
Maybe you should think about trading Jordan Love, but it looks like something's got to happen. Brandon, you surprised that this situation has come to this in Green Bay?
Absolutely not. Said it before the season. They have botched the Aaron Rodgers era. You have a guy like this and you get one Super Bowl out of him. Come on. Because you don't participate in free agency, because you don't load up on the offensive side, surround him, what he needs in the draft. Like you guys continue to make the wrong decisions year after year after year. And Mr. GM, Brian, it's not that hard. You have Aaron Rodgers. He's the MVP.
Brian.
He tells you what he wants, and you listen, you do it. That's what you do. Like, it's not that hard. It's so dry in Green Bay. And I love Green Bay. Played in Chicago. Played them twice a year. Love pulling up Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football. The lights just freaking beaming up on the stadium. And guess what? It's magical. But look at the draft room last night. They got 2 recycling bins. They got Dell computer. It was just dry. Like, who wants to be? It's over. He was there 16 years. He did deliver, a Lombardi trophy. It's time to move on. Tom Brady moved on. Peyton Manning moved on. Joe Montana moved on. Brett Favre moved on. This whole conversation is lopsided. When the organization is ready to move on from a player, it's just business. And when the player is ready to move on, then it's, oh, respect your contract. You know, we're not letting them go. It's over, Nick.
Well, and listen, I listened very intently to that Brian Gutekunst press conference. And Brian Gutekunst should be super angry with the dope that drafted Jordan Love and got this ball rolling. Hold on. Sorry, Sam Pepper's talking to me. Oh, Brian Gutekunst was the GM last year, too? Oh, he did this? Oh, okay. Well, then what are we talking about? Hey, man. Oh, no, Aaron Rodgers makes this whole thing go. Aaron Rodgers, no, we're nothing without him, which is why we traded back into the first round to take a project quarterback from Utah State. Hey, man, sometimes a couple can never get over an affair. And they did a year of therapy. They thought, hey, they went on a great vacation. They had a great run. And then you know what? Every time they wake up in the morning, one of them's like, nope, still can't get over it. Especially since you still work with the guy. They won't even trade Jordan Love. Could have traded him yesterday. Trade him today. Brian Gutekunst, here is the Nick Wright challenge to you. Trade Jordan Love during the second or third round today. That's how I'll know it's real. How you want to show me you love me if I'm Aaron Rodgers? If you want to tell me you love me, then show me. Trade Jordan Love. Because if he's here, there is a ticking clock on my tenure. And I am the defending league MVP, and I'm sick of it. And I got other options. I can go host Jeopardy. I can hang out with Shailene Woodley in Malibu and do guest appearances on her shows. Because I'm not, the level of, you wouldn't let me keep my quarterback coach. You wouldn't let me have a say in keeping Jordy Nelson years ago. None of it. None of it. And there's nobody I can go to because there's no owner. The whole thing.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know, Wilds, why the Packers are surprised it's come to this. They made it come to this.
You know what it is? It's all pretend. It's all pretend. And Brandon will say, oh, you wasted Aaron Rodgers' career. And you drafted Jordan Love. And you didn't let me keep my quarterback's coach. And Brian Gutekunst, you disrespect me after I won the MVP. Okay, Aaron Rodgers, what do you really want? A contract extension. I want to be back. Huh? What? What are you what? I thought you were mad. If it's an affair, what do you want to do? I want to stay married. I want to stay married, and I want to have more kids. He's actually upset that the commitment is not there. So it's not built on a foundation of real anger. It's built on a foundation of wanting more. And here's the thing, Jenna, and I've never argued with Jenna on the show, but your butt first I thought was fascinating, and I had a totally different take on it. Can we play the sound, please, from Mr. Gettleman?
When a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers is pressuring his team to trade him, do you call over to a team like that and just say, what's going on here, just as due diligence?
No, it's none of my business.
And Nick, you know why? What my take was on it was? It's not his business because it's not real. It's an in-house squabble. Yeah. It is not a real thing. Aaron Rodgers is not really being traded to the point where, to Jenna's point, even though it is his business, it's not even worth me texting Brian Gutekunst. It's not. It's not a real thing.
I have a slightly different take than you on that. My take is that Dave Gettleman's not a competent general manager. So reading into the Packers situation by his lack of interest is, I think maybe Occam's razor is the better one, which is the simplest explanation, probably the right one. But Brandon, I don't think Rodgers wants the contract extension because he wants more money. Right. Everyone wants more money, but I think it's what it would signify. Right. It would signify that he is not going to be ousted, because we all have pride, and there is a difference between retiring or quitting a job and being fired. And as long as Jordan Love is there, Brandon, there's the prospect of being fired. So there's a matter of, I'm going to quit before you fire me, which I think is what we are going through right now, Brandon.
And you want Aaron Rodgers, the MVP, to live on a one-year deal? That's what you want? You can't have your cake and eat it, too. So, Wilds, you keep talking about, you know, like this is just an in-house squabble. That's not real. Like, they have messed this up year after year after year. This is not hard, Wilds. You know what he does? Aaron Rodgers comes in and he says, look, you know, I want a 3-year extension, 4-year extension, whatever it is. I want X amount guaranteed, and I want to be right here. This is what I need. And I want the first seat on the plane. You know what you do if you're the Green Bay Packers? You say, okay, here you go. And then you give him a little bit more. You give him a little bit, because it's Aaron Rodgers. What's the alternative? Like, this isn't the Green Bay Packers going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. We got love on the sideline. This is a guy that they said couldn't complete a pass in practice at times. Like, think about that. Like, they need to do exactly what Aaron Rodgers and his camp is asking them to do. He has all the leverage. That's what this is.
See, I don't know if he has enough leverage, Jenna. I think that's why it has to play out in public, and that we have to sort of carry the water for Aaron Rodgers. Go.
But there's a happy medium between do everything he asks you to do and not actively stick your finger in his eye, which is what they've been doing. So, like, I have no sympathy whatsoever for the Packers finding themselves in this situation. They opted, Jenna, to get into this situation.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Undisputed starts now. We'll see you on Monday.